Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 94th episode of Let's Talk About Market. So, yesterday night we saw US India trade deal, and that's why we saw a big gap up opening today, where the Nifty index nearly touched the all time high, but from there, it could not sustain at the higher level and it saw a correction. So, what to expect next? And is there a trend change that has happened? So let us explore all those things and let's discuss about that. So, let me quickly share my screen. If someone can please confirm if you all are able to see my screen and if you all are able to hear me properly. Okay, if someone can please, okay, thanks Akash for the confirmation. So yeah, when we look at the Nifty index, this was a very good gap up opening. Sadly, we could not build into that. There has been a bullish crossover, so due to which, basically, at least I would expect that this RMI to go towards the zero line, and from there we'll see what happens next. But if we broadly see, despite all the all the sort of noise that we have seen, it seems like it is still stuck in a range. So on the upside, 26,300 is where it is repeatedly finding resistance level, and that needs to be broken decisively. Uh, Ideally, the even if the close would have been somewhere higher from the lowest point, it would have been good. But it has. It has nearly closed around the day's low only, so that is actually not a good sign. So there is some positive that you can take out of that, which is that it has broken above the 61.8% level and kind of sustained above that. But next 1 or 2 days in that sense will be very crucial, so that we'll get to know if the index is able to sustain above the daily averages or no. And the reason why I'm saying again that we need to see for a day or two is because when we look at the swing, please give me a minute. Alright, so So yeah, when we basically look at the sentiment indicators, and why I'm saying that we need to look out for a day or two is because when we see the swing indicator, it has again gone back to 83. Average swing still shows that there is some more room left on the upside. So it can very well happen that we see some bit of minor up move over here and we consolidate a bit and we see a breadth expanding. In that case, you will see the average swing going back to 80, 90. And apart from that, the call minus put had also come down to these levels. Now today's data we need to see if this reading has gone back to say minus, in red or so, because whenever it has gone in red in a day or two, we have seen some sort of pullback consolidation happening. So that is where we stand at this point of time. But see, the broader point was that somewhere over here we were coming to a very very important level, which is what I was highlighting yesterday, and from there some kind of rebound was expected. Now whether this rebound I mean this rebound has happened in 2 days only, and it has seen a significant rebound in that sense. I'm not sure if Nifty 500 has broken above 61.8. No. So the interesting fact is that it has just closed around the 61.8% mark. And of course, the small cap and all, they are all around the averages or just marginally below that. So need to see. We need to give it a day or two to see how things unfold, and do do we see a follow up? But yes, the idea over here was that there can be some bounce that is expected, and actually not some bounce, but a significant bounce has happened. But now it needs to be seen, how things unfold from here. Few things that I'll be watching out very, very closely, as we see today's data, it is basically one is the FI positioning, whether they manage to cover that or no. And apart from that, I would also see the index net position, because they had huge call shorting. I'm not sure if they would have covered that today or what happened. So I'll be watching this very carefully, because, like I told you, the call minus put data, that has gone off the chart, which means that they are extremely bearish. Okay. Now, for any sort of significant short covering, I would expect them to, I would at least expect this range to be broken out on the upside. I think once that happens, because see, what has happened is that there have been three, four attempts, in fact, three attempts over here now to break about 26,300. So I'm hoping that this time around maybe it breaks out on the upside, and who knows? I mean, if we end up seeing a short covering rally, so a lot will depend firstly on how the prices behave, and then whether the FIs are indeed cutting the shots or no, because that might end up being a trigger more than anything else. I would say. So that's where I'll be watching out these data very carefully, and many of the data which were in oversold, they are now trying to come back. From the oversold zones. Okay. So broadly, if we say now in sentiment kind of terms, then the short term indicators which were in oversold zone, so of course they have come out of the oversold zone because of this very good up move. Are they towards the extreme yet? The answer is there are the ones which are very, very short term in nature, they have come into that overbought zone. But let me see the percentage of stocks with RMI buy and so on. Have they come to the overbought zone or no? So we have seen a good meaningful spike in the percentage of stock about 20 SMA. But over here also, if we see the percentage of stock with RMI buy, it shows you some room is left. So it can happen that we inch higher gradually, or we do some consolidation with a positive bias. Then these all percentage of stock with RMI buy and so on can get into this overbought zone. But like I mentioned, for any major significant resistance, significant, breakout, the Nifty index needs to break and sustain above this 26,300 mark. I think that's where we can think of a good trending move. But there are some risks that are again there. We call it something like a expanding pattern, which usually occurs at the top only. So, can it lead to all those things or no? We'll see. But, 26,300, and then somewhere around 26,600, 26,700, those will be the two levels that we will watch out for very closely in the near term. And then we'll see, how things unfold. But like I repeatedly mentioned yesterday also, this month in general would be very, very important to note. Why? Because if we see the monthly chart, just to give you a context what is happening, we have tested the 20-month average, and what it does from here will be very, very. Just give me a minute, I'm getting a call. Yeah. So, just to give you a context, where the Nifty index had tested the 20-month average. Now, whether it sustains by the month end or no, we'll of course know it by the month end only. But all the significant, important indices like mid cap also bounced back from 20-month. Micro cap, small cap had broken down below that. So, there's no question about those indices. But again, 500, it had, touched the 20-month average. Now, in all these cases, like I told you, a positive monthly bar will be very, very good. But if we end up having a negative monthly bar, okay, for that, we'll have to see what happens in the month end, and we will be in this RMI will be in negative zone, then there can still be this risk of a correction till here. So this is something that you need to keep in mind, and whether it will happen or not, we'll see it on an ongoing basis. But at this point of time, in the very very short term, the hourly averages now becomes an important resistance. Important support level. Apart from that, this was basically the resistance zone where in the short term we had multiple tops, right? Somewhere over here. So this was the area where we had multiple tops, right? And Nifty index has broken that top. So now this again has become an important support level in the near term. So that zone is now say somewhere around 25, 430, 450 or so. Okay. So in case of correction, ideally this zone and the hourly averages becomes an important support zone. I think if either of the level is the Nifty is trading above either of the levels, then I think we are good so far. And the attempt would be to try and rise higher, because that's what average swing and so on are kind of indicating, right? But again, I'm telling you, we need to break 26,300 decisively, I think, for any of the move or for the short covering to play out. And meanwhile, in the next 3-4 days, we need to see how the FIs also react and how the sentiment is. The reason why I say that is because can this trade deal change the sentiment for the FIs, and can they come back in the market? We don't know. We can only hope, and we can see how things unfold. And meanwhile, yes, we have to see the market structure and see how things are behaving. But in general, today we opening higher and ending lower is not very very convincing. So that's why for a few days, at least 2 to 3 days, we need to see how things unfold before we can take a call. And for the indices, I think most of them had, bounced back. So barely anything was in red. The only one notable index was Nifty Pharma, where it was consolidating. It found support from its important support area, and over here, if you draw this channel support, okay, I think I'll have to adjust this a bit, but somewhere over here it is at an important support level. So what happens in the Nifty Pharma index in that sense will be very important to watch, as it is at an important support. Okay, so this is also something that you can probably keep an eye on. Apart from that, for the sectors, I think given that we are somewhere in the middle, maybe RRG will help you to find some better sectors where there might be some movement as well. So see, you can see that PSU metals, they are now kind of losing momentum, but energy, oil and gas, TSC, these are the ones in the short term where the RRG is showing that the momentum is there. So you need to keep an eye on. And weekly also we'll see, because this kind of tells you the broader trend, right? So over here as well, you can see that in weekly, oil and gas is making a good comeback. Financial services there. I think we saw financial service over there, right? Private bank and bank were giving up over in daily rate. Okay, financial services also giving up in daily. So yeah, I think in that sense, if you're a short-term trader, then of course you will want to see what is happening in daily more closely. PSU also, gone up, gone down again, trying to make a comeback. So need to see, this week how things unfold. But I think one of the major, red flag that I'm seeing is auto, because again, there is this continuous dip that is happening in RRG and this thing. And the reason why I'm kind of highlighting this red flag is because many of the people are also very bullish on it, and they are not giving up on that. So So while this setup is very important, because from 40 and lower band it has gone up, but need to see how it behaves. So I'll be watching this sector also very closely, especially more on the bearish side. So it has exactly retraced 61.8% retracement and hovering over there. I'm sorry. So yeah, so auto is again one where we need to be a little careful. Reality and all, there has been a lot of selling that had happened over there. So from there it is bouncing back, but from there, I mean, it has come to the averages. So need to see what happens there. I think the only index where which looks a little more compelling is the PSU index. So this is BSC PSU, but I'm sure if I do Nifty PSE, so it has kind of the same setup, where it is at least making a higher high. And PSU Bank, you know, again, I'm a little skeptical over here. So we had spoken about this, that it was in sell, so it may go back to the zero line. That has happened. I mean, that all happened during the day of budget, where it saw a sharp decline. But now you need to wait for it to come to the bullish zone. Else, I don't know. I mean, this looks a little tricky to me. The other one, IT also, it tried to break out from this range. It could not. And if you all remember, I had also, put one Fibonacci retracement level also, right? So it was exactly 61.8% retracement where the Nifty IT has retraced and turned down. So what it means, I don't know. But again, this should be one interesting sector that we need to watch out for. Okay. Apart from that, I don't think there are any significant these sectors that you need to look out. But metal in general, I'm kind of hopeful, mainly because of this breakout that has happened. But I think there is too much of volatility in the metals right now, so need to see. But I think the 40-day has held out pretty well over here, and in general the structure seems to be indicating a sort of a cup and handle pattern kind of breakout. So things more or less looks okay over here. And let's see how things unfold. I'm kind of hopeful that it outperforms. But if this 40-day breaks over here, then we need to be a little careful, because so far on the day, sorry, on the weekly, the momentum is rising, but on the daily there is some sort of decline that we are seeing in momentum. So ideally, you would want this to curl back for metal to see more strength. But in general, looking at the structure, I am a little bit more hopeful in metals than in PSU banks. Okay, because PSU banks already, they have run up a lot, and I think bank Nifty is also kind of signaling a loss of momentum and so on. So that's where this thought process is coming. uh, so yeah, broadly, that is it from my side. I think if you'll have any questions, we can probably try and take it up. But yeah, I think the major breakout is likely to happen. I think about 26,300 only, because we are repeatedly now see. I think this is the third time that we are seeing a selling from there. So that needs to be broken. And if that breaks and FIs also go to the short covering trend, then I think this could be a good combination for us to have to see the Nifty index, rising to the higher levels, significant higher levels. So now, if you'll have any questions, please let me know. Nifty is very confusing from trading point. So I don't think so, Akash. The I mean, see, we are doing those live session every day, right? And I think I've been talking about that as well. So, just after the budget day, I think, we had spoken about the levels also, prior to budget day, right? And those all levels kind of came. And from that, see, you might think that, okay, market is reacting due to budget, due to this, due to that, and so on. But there are some technical levels that are there, and that are being followed very, very nicely. I mean, if you just cut out all the noise then, and just prior to the Trump deal, we had a positive daily close from an important support level. So that anyways told you that the swing low that the Nifty index had made yesterday, I mean, on budget day, was an important low, right? So, I mean, I understand that there's a lot of volatility, and for there, and because of that, I mean, you can get a bit scared or so on. But so far, I would say that the Nifty index has been respecting levels very nicely. In fact, today also it had almost hit a new all-time high, and from there again it has seen a correction. So that way, if you see, the Nifty index is kind of behaving. I mean, respecting the levels very closely is how I would say. But I told you earlier as well that Nifty is in a broader range. The broader range has actually now become 24,500 and 26,300. I mean, that is the larger range which it is in. And unfortunately, it is whipsawing, between this range. So we need a breakout on either side to see some trending move. But I think till then, we might see these kind of, large, violent moves, maybe in between. But yeah, I think in general, I am hopeful that these all things should resolve on the upside, but need more evidence, because frankly, I have been fully. I have been feeling that the Nifty will break out sooner or later. But so far, it has not happened, and I think there is always those debate that happens internally between me, Rohit sir. I mean, between us about the wave counts and so on. But let's see how things unfold. I mean, I'm just keeping all the options open, and hoping that we end up getting the breakout. So let's see. Srinivas says that what does India VIX indicate after today's move? So in fact, if you see, India VIX has fallen further, and now it is now well above that 14 mark. So India VIX is now actually well below 13 mark, right? So this has, I mean, usually you would see that spikes in VIX are usually followed by bottom formation, and I think that is what has happened in the Nifty index as well. I pointed out this yesterday as well. I think when the Nifty index had risen higher, that VIX has also cooled off. So that again is a good sign. Now let's see what happens. I mean, as long as the VIX doesn't rise, I think we are good, and maybe that short-term bottom that budget day had made could be a meaningful bottom in the near term at least. That is what probably the VIX is indicating. Yes, option writers. So today, I think that might be the game that option writers might not have allowed. Else, they would have been bleeding a lot. That is what I would be guessing. Because I don't know. I mean, how can they bear a 1,200 point kind of up move, that too on a weekly expiry? I mean, the people who would have sold option for 5-10 rupees of course, per share within that lot, then they would have got screwed. I don't know. FII is not covering that. So FII is. So you need to see that data, Akash, today. I mean, where today's data is not seen, but yes, yesterday there was a glimpse of a short covering, but nothing very significant. I mean, it was very, very minor yesterday. So let's see. So what's your view on Rohit sir? So I don't know. See, we have this healthy debate. I'm not sure what is going to happen. I mean, we are watching the levels very closely, and we are seeing how the data behaves. So that is how I would say. I'm not sure. I mean, you cannot rule out anything in this market. So we are watching the levels, and that is what I mean. See, at least I am trying to communicate whatever I am seeing, so that you all can also understand how to approach things. Uh, in today's positive moves, it found few mid and small cap. So they are very very bad stocks. Say VBL. So yeah, possible. See, of course, today stocks would have reacted where I mean, news was there for them, right? But something like BBL, it doesn't change the needle if trade deal happens or no. It is more of a sentiment booster kind of thing. But VBL, I think we had spoken earlier, right? The setup, anyways, is very bad over there. I mean, it seems to be just consolidating. But if that consolidation breaks out on the downside, then then the things can get ugly. So you need to be very careful. You can see that somewhere over here a triangular consolidation is happening, and the worst part is that this consolidation is happening below the weekly averages, right? I'm not sure if VBL's result is out or no, but ahead of the result, I mean, if the result is not out, then the setup is very bad because you're seeing a bearish crossover as well. So I mean, I'll be worried that this is the decline, then this was the consolidation, and can it further decline? I mean, that is the risk I would see, irrespective of market rising higher or whatever it is, because this stock doesn't seems to, I mean, is not moving with the market at least. So yeah, you are right. There are some. Uh, so yeah, I mean, there are some stocks that are actually weak. So need to take it on. I mean, you kind of need to think of it based on its standalone structure. Okay, based on its standalone structure is what you need to analyze. Don't think कि ये market ऊपर जाएगा तो ये this can also take support and rise higher. Wait for the confirmation and then see what happens. Okay, so you're saying that VBL result is on 9th, so yeah, possibly. Let's see what happens. I think the setup is very interesting ahead of the results, and the setup is more actually on the bearish side. So let's see. Any other questions? Okay, so I think that's it from for today's session. Let's catch up tomorrow at 5 p.m. and see what the market have for us. Okay. So thanks a lot for joining today, and let's catch up tomorrow.